Welcome back, everyone. Another tire review coming in. Today, I'm actually very excited about this one, and I don't know why. We are taking a look at the Hobbysoul Slingers. This is a tire I got off of either Amazon or AliExpress. I can't remember which. It's $42 for the set of 4. They are modeled after a RC 4-wheel drive Mud Slinger, but the Hobbysoul, this tire, is actually an actual Class 2 size tire. The RC 4-wheel drives, unfortunately, even the Slinger XLs are like 4.3 or 4 inches. So this is an actual Class 2 Mud Slinger design. It's your typical Amazon quality rubber, typical couch cushion foams. So inside we're running SL3D 3D printed inserts. I don't have high expectations from a performance perspective, but I love the look of the tire. I think it's going to be a good trail tire. I think it'll perform really well in loose dirt and mud. But today we're going to see how it performs as a rock crawling tire. And I'm just kind of excited to see what it does. So let's take a look at it. As I said, coming in at $42 for the set. And then of course, I guess if you're just going to trail run with it, the stiff foams that it comes with are fine. So for $42, what is that going to get you if you want to actually rock crawl with it? Well, side hilling, we're getting a fair amount of side slip, and I've put myself right in this crack where I don't want to be. So we're going to back up because that crack is going to cause a rollout. I don't think we're going to have the performance to go beneath that crack where we have the steeper hill, so we're going to try to go above it. A lot of side slip. Yeah, it's able to reposition okay on the side hill, but you got to really do a lot of steering input and kind of take some shallow angles, because otherwise it wants to slide a lot, which got stung by a bee. Ow. With a chevron lug, a big tall lug, a just LOL compound. I don't know what else you would expect. So if I'm being honest, they're doing better on the side hill than I thought they would do. And really, they don't slip sideways a lot until they hit an uneven part of the rock, which this rock is very uneven. It's very pocketed. But if you have a side hill that is mostly smooth, yeah, I think these will do okay. And honestly, even with the factory foam, it's so stiff, I think they would do fine. This is not half bad. It's good reposition. Let's come down backwards a little bit. And then we're going to try to reposition the front of the truck towards the entrance that we came on the rock from. So we're going to try to pull. We're going to go backwards here. Now down. Ooh, that's my bad with the throttle. Down here we get a lot of pocketing and unevenness, so I kind of want to avoid that because I don't think that we're going to have the grip to avoid sliding and rolling off there. But what we're going to try to do is just come off right here. You know what? This is not bad. That's pretty good side hill performance. Now, I did take some of the easier lines. I don't even think it's worth trying the harder lines. I could already tell it was rolling off when I tried to take the where's my finger? The steeper line down here. But, there's a lot of good performing tires that don't like that steeper line. Again, these are $42 a set. And we come up to our wet obstacle. Not really obstacle. Just going to drive through and get our tires a little bit wet here so we can test wet performance. The Slingers are sitting on just some basic Amazon Method 105s. Okay, and coming up to our first, not very steep, but kind of slick rock. That's not bad, especially considering wet. Now we got hung on the pumpkin there. Yeah, that's really not bad. So that's not a real steep hill, but that is, I mean, it still stands sandstone, but that's actually really slick. I fell walking up that a little bit, or this morning, not a little bit ago at this point, but it's pretty slick. And our first, probably actual challenge. Everybody's been having a hard time with this. This rock is slick, especially now where I've been getting on it. It's worn away the sand on the sandstone, so it's very slick. And then we've got to try to hook the ledge of this rock and pull ourselves up, pull the front up, and then push the rear up. But so far today, every tire I've tested has resorted to having to bump with wheel speed. These Slingers are going to be no different, I can tell you that right now. The rear pumpkin is caught on something. Ooh, that was a pretty good bump. I don't know what that loud knock was. I think that might have been the rear axle hitting. But that was pretty good. And we exit on a side hill. Again, I love the look of this tire. I think it's a super cool looking tire. It's super aggressive. Real Mud Slingers, if you do some lug work to them, they actually make really good rock crawling tires. So we'll continue to see how these do today, but I might have to do that. This might be a series where we see, okay, we have established a baseline, we'll do that today, and then we see what we can do to improve them. Now, unfortunately, guys, I'm not going to have an opportunity to test these in mud. I don't do a lot of mud running. I don't do a lot of trail driving. I'm mostly looking at how they do rock crawling. But I can tell you, for the most part, with our scale toys, mud performance is largely about lug design. And I think that these are going to be a good mud tire. I still think even cutting the lug would help open the lug spacing up a little bit, so you cut every other small lug, staggering on either side. I'll show it when I do it. I'm going to probably do it to these tires. So far, I'm actually really impressed with how these are doing on the rocks. I didn't have expectations, but I didn't have high hopes. I kind of thought they'd be pretty subpar, but these are doing better than other cheap Amazon tires that I've tested recently, like the Super Kirks. These are doing better than those, which those are modeled after a BF Goodrich crawler, like a Proline crawler. And keep forgetting, I just need to put the camera down. This obstacle is hard for me to drive one-handed because it requires a lot of steering input. Come on. You can do it. Catch a corner. Definitely going to be able to bump up this easily if I need to, but I like to try everything without wheel speed because I'm not a big wheel speed guy. I like crawling. There we go. Little wheel speed to get up, and then it was able to crawl off pretty nicely. Now I've got myself in a that's bad driving. My tire's falling down in a axle snapper there. That's a little bit slipping sideways causing that, but not great driving either. All right, here. Let's see how we do pulling up on here. This is another one that's a lot more difficult than it looks. The flat irons that I ran before these, which struggled in some areas of this course, actually did really well here, better than a lot of tires do here. It was really shocking. And these are actually, where that front passenger tire is, there's a kind of a crack in the rock that it grips onto. Come on. Yeah. Use that side lug. Come on. Oh. Uh-oh. I'm going to break the body if I keep going. I mean, that didn't get us up on the rock, but that was something. I've never seen a tire do that before. It's showing me promise, and honestly, as I've talked about, I'm not always the biggest fan of 3D inserts. I kind of prefer a good dual stage foam, but I like the way that the 3D inserts are performing in here. Man, $42. And so far, I mean, let's not act like this is the best tire we've ever seen on the course. But so far, it's doing really well. All right, let's test the grip of the rear tires and see if it can do the thing. We want to set the front down gently, but we don't want it to slide too fast. So we need the rear tires to slip. That's too fast. Now portion 2 is probably going to nosedive us. Yeah, oh, yeah. Okay. That's not great. All right, you got to go turn it. So both parts of this obstacle that we're on, the part we just came down and the part we're getting ready to go down, are about driver precision, throttle precision, as much as they are tire performance. So sometimes the mistakes are my own, not the tire. I think this was a combination of everything. Partially I drove that wrong. Partially the rear tires slid a little more than they needed to. But there, with the right amount of throttle modulation, I'm able to keep the rear end from coming over the front. And that's ultimately what we're after. All right, now, this will be the first big challenge. Hardest obstacle out here today. What we want to do is get up here onto this big rock. Not here. So far, having trouble getting onto the obstacle. Forward drive kind of out pushing the steering capability. Pretty common with a mud tire, honestly. But we want to hook this side of the right edge of this rock and use the side lug to go up. But we don't want to cheat and just drive over to the side. We want to go up on the rock and then shuttle over. Now, good tires can come up on the rock slowly and then just reposition and shuttle over. Great tires can just drive up this without having to use the side lug. And other tires have to use some wheel speed to get up, and then they can go over and hook that lug. And then, of course, you have bad tires that can't do it. So where are the Slingers going to fall? I don't think we're going to do it with low speed, although they're kind of able to get up there, but then they slide back. So let me reposition, and we'll try it with wheel speed. Not too much wheel speed. A little more than that. Okay. Oop. Try that again. That was bad positioning. Okay, settle the front. It's not the optimal line. Let's try again. That's... Okay. That's not the best, but that's pretty good. Strong side lug on this tire. I mean, not bad. Not bad. If I have one complaint so far, it is, let's say, steering. The tire pushes a lot because there's more forward drive than there is steering. I'm not going to say there's a ton of forward drive in this tire, but there's more forward drive than there is steering. Now that is something that we might be able to change with a little bit of lug work. Now here, use that side lug, there we go. Use the side lug on that rock. Ooh, don't slip off. Yeah, can we pull it up? We're hung. We fell off the rock further than we wanted to, so now we're hung on pumpkin and axle housing, axle tube. Can we pull it up? Nope. Let's try it again. I'm not sure what happened. I'm not exceptionally wide. I don't know why it was so much towards the passenger side there. We expect to get hung right here, and what we want is for the front tires to have enough grip to pull the pumpkin off of that hang up. These kind of don't. There we go. they did it. Not quickly, but able to do it without having to go full throttle or anything like that. All right, fingers crossed. How are we gonna do on the steep hill? I like to be able to do it without a lot of wheel speed. Now we're not getting too much slip back, but we are getting a fair amount of bounce. There's the rollout. A lot of that bounce often comes from the 3D insert. That's one of the reasons why I prefer foams over 3D inserts most of the time. But some of that bounce comes from fighting for traction. Some of that bounce on this tire I think is going to come from the size of the lug. It's tall and it's kind of folding under a lot. And I don't think we're going to have the grip to do real low throttle. Real low throttle would have, ooh, that's going to roll. That's just me getting in a bad position. There we go. Real low throttle will avoid the bouncing, but you need more grip for that. So now, yeah, we can do it with throttle. Ooh, not too much. Now we're coming to an uneven part of the rock, just about flipped her over backwards, but we're able to recover. Little bit of trouble getting off. Okay, not great, but honestly, that's pretty good. Pretty good. I mean, $42 for a set of these. A mud tire on just a rubber compound. I mean, there's nothing, the compound isn't super soft. It doesn't feel sticky. It smells like car tires, like real tires. So this is not the best performing tire that I have. This is not the best performing tire that we've done on video. So I don't mean this to say that this is the best tire I've tested, but this is the most impressed I've been with a tire because of what I thought it would be and what it is. I expected that we would have a tire that would be like the Chanmu or the freaking Boom Racing Hustler that would fail pretty much every obstacle out here. This one oh, that's driver error. My recording, sorry. I need to put the camera down, but I'm in a bad spot. Okay. This rock here, you get hung, the front links get hung on the edge of that rock. And you need to have the ability to get enough wheel speed to kind of bump it off in a very, very, very short distance. I basically need to be able to launch it off of here. And honestly, this was easier with the 1200 kV motor because this 2300 kV, I can overshoot it too much. But I don't know if I'm going to have enough grip either way with these. So it's a weird tire because there's not a lot of grip, but there's enough grip. You know what I mean? Like, it's so weird. I don't like this obstacle. This tears up my body. All right, now, can we... Why do I film from where I've been filming? This is a much better spot. Can we hook the edge? Another one that is much harder than it looks on camera. It's not steep, but it's very slick, and there's a lot of unevenness when you come on. And a lot of tires actually struggle here, and a lot don't. And this is like right on that cusp of being able to... There we go. Oh, no, 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 no. Come on. What do we got? Passenger rear is a problem. There we go. Whew. Ooh, too much bounce. Bounced me right off the rock. Okay, so I want to test this tire again with foams instead of 3D inserts. And then I want to do lug work on this tire, I think. I'm excited about this guy. I think I might be able to turn this into like a pretty great tire. There's a boulder there. Traction getting harder to come by as the hill dries out. This morning it was wet and really nice and packed in, and everything was able to walk up it with real low throttle, but we're getting back to normal conditions now, so I think we're gonna have to start seeing more throttle input required. So what do we think of the Slingers from Hobbysoul or Hobby Park? I can't remember. The Hobbysoul Park Slingers. I'm impressed. Of everything that I've tested so far, on camera and on my own accord off camera, these have been the most impressive. And what I mean by that is these have surpassed my expectations more than anything else. I really did not expect these to do anything. I just thought it was going to be kind of fun. It was fun, but I just thought it was going to be, you know, just drive around and have fun. And these actually turned out to be pretty decent performers. I definitely think I can improve them with foams over the 3D inserts. I like the way the 3D inserts perform in them, but that bounce, I think that bounce is not going to be optimal for this tire. It doesn't have the grip to use the low wheel speed to avoid the bounce. But also, I might do some lug work, so I'll remove the small lugs, all of the small lugs. And I think that lug spacing might give it some opportunities to grip a little better and possibly give me better low wheel speed. So maybe I'll do lug work first and run them with the same 3D inserts that are in here. And then if that doesn't do what I want, then I'll put foams in them and we'll see. And quite honestly, as I talk about it, what I think I'm going to do, they're only $42 for a whole set. I think I'm going to order another set and I will modify that set and then I will see how they compare side by side. That's what I'm going to do. We're going to do a whole nother series on this tire alone. Super cool, guys. I like this tire already. I'm going to put a link to these in the description because I think they're good enough to recommend. $42 a set. Yeah, they need different inserts if you're going to do rock crawling with them. You could put a set of Endura silicone inserts in these for another $20, and you can have some really decent rock crawling tires that are also going to perform, I think, pretty well in the mud and dirt and trails. They're going to last a long time because they're not extremely thin compound. They're not going to wear out soon. You're not likely to tear a sidewall. Don't expect these to be a J Concepts Tusk or anything like that. I'm not saying that they're an extreme high-performing tire, but man, I'm surprised. And look at it. Look at it. It's such a cool-looking tire. RC four-wheel drive. You should have made this an X2SS in Class 2. Until next time, everybody, have a good one.